What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some amazing topics. We have everyone in the house, so I'm hoping Mark will join us, the producer, and we have the beautiful Miss Ida B. So without any further ado, Mark, let's just go ahead and bring out Ida so we can go ahead and jump into these hot topics and into these different lanes. How are you? How are you?
I am well. I miss my family. Hey, everybody. Yes, honey. I had my first real loss in my father died. Never had anyone close to me. The passed away, and it was the most comical funeral. It could have been a my deal. My stepfather ran a liquor house for 45 years. Every drunk in North Carolina was there. The city was safe for 2 hours. But what have you been up to, Boo Boo Kitty?
Went home for spring break, chilled with my mom. Didn't get an opportunity to go visit with my dad, so I have to go back and visit with my dad and my stepmom. I was busy helping my mom out and just doing things. I was painting, believe it or not, painting the house. We're trying to, prime it, get ready for summer, spring, and all that good stuff or whatever. So your girl was tired because my mom, she works me like a Hebrew slave.
Girl. And today is National Siblings Day. How many siblings do you have?
On my mom's side, I have 2 older brothers and a little sister. So it's 4 of us, and I'm the third child, and I was the baby for forever. So I'm one of those that my mom had my little sister and I were 10 years apart. So when she was 5, when I was 22.
Wow. Was she mad when you got here? Was she mad when you got here?
She wasn't mad, but I was mad when my sister was born. Because I promise you, I threw her ass off the bed. I tried to kill her at first. I'm not going to lie.
No,
I was the baby, but I love my sister to death now. I wouldn't, have anything to, harm her, hurt her, or anything like that. But when you're younger, the baby comes along, gets all the attention. Because I mean, anybody knows me, I'm like extremely spoiled. And that was a bit much to, take in, you being the baby for forever and you the spoiled one. And then a baby comes along.
And still spoiled.
Dr. Anthony, how do you think I felt? I was sitting there being nice and comfortable. By the way, I'm glad you brought it up because that means I got to call my younger brother. I only got one sibling and everything. But I was sitting there minding my own business for a good 7 years, born in 1962. And then sometime in 68 or 60, he was born in 69. So sometimes in late 68 or 69, my parents coming around telling me, you got a brother. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I was the be all the end, all and everything. And then I got a brother 7 years later. So what's going on there? But, he does a lot of work with the at-risk youth and does a lot of work in the community and all of that. So I can't say bad things about Malik. He's doing some
and even his name is cool.
Yeah,
Malik.
Got a real cool name, and he does work with the at-risk youth, and he's fighting some ailments of his own because he's got MS, and that actually took one of my aunts away and all of that. But he lived with it for a long time. I think he lived with it for about 30, 35 years. So we're hoping that Malik will do the same thing because with the advancement in medicine, that can happen and all in that space. But he's got those, I call them the Batmobile cars because he's got those cool slingshots. So he's actually the president of our local Polaris Slingshot Club. So I can see Dr. Anthony and you driving around in one of those Batmobiles because that's what they look like. They just look like
they do. They are pretty cool.
They do. And so on my father's side, it's 9 of us. It's 5 girls and 3 boys. So
he was fertile.
I'm the oldest on my father's side, and so I have little sisters over there as well. But I come from a very unique dynamic. I'm my parents' only child. And so I have a lot of siblings. And you?
Well, I have 4 siblings from it's 4 of us from my mother, and then she decided one day, she came up with this crazy idea to marry a man that had 7 kids. We became the instant Black Brady Bunch on the block, and I had the nerve to have a crush on one of my brothers because we were teenagers. So I'm like, how dare you ruin my life? That was gonna be my baby daddy. How dare you, mama? And we became like, the Brady Bunch. We lived in the Amityville horror house because with that many kids, you just need that much room. Mm-hmm. And everybody loved coming to the house, even despite my mother always threatening to spank your bottom. And my mother was strict, and my father was my stepfather, who now passed away. He was like the cool dad that everybody liked. He let all of them learn how to smoke. Now I'm from North Carolina. You know how when they prime tobacco and they wrote, and people they were smoking real tobacco leaf and stuff. Mm-hmm. And some siblings I think are important, don't you? And I have some of my friends that are the only child, and they always wanted siblings. So when they would come to our house, they would love it. And it was so many of us with one bathroom. I would go to the bathroom from 5:30 to 5:45. We had that, you had to put on. And after a while, my mother said, "You're not in there washing the nation. Come on out. You ain't there washing the nation. It don't take what they use the Prince and such. They should tell you hit those highlights. You know how they'll make you take your bath at night and you wash up in the morning. Oh no, they won't play that all that being in the bathroom."
Hey, Dr. Anthony, you bring up an interesting question. How many of y'all have heard of these folks that have been fortunate enough or unfortunate, depending on your point of view, to have children, and then they have the children grow up, and then they get the children on all the way out of the household, and then they turn around and they get married, and maybe the other person doesn't have any children. So then you turn around and you talk to them, and they're like, "We're here to have another kid," and you're going like, "Wait a minute, did you just get the first kids out of the house, and now you're going to turn around and have another one?" Because I've had that happen to a few of my friends. But I was wondering your thoughts, Ida, because you hear these folks that are very much, glad to get the kids grown and gone, and then they turn around, fall in love again, and next thing you know, they're having second set of family, and it's not because of a new total relationship, but it's because of a new parental dynamic.
My mother, I banned my mother and stepfather from having kids. I said, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. Because when you blend the family, they call them bonus fathers and stuff. But with my mother, she became a foster mother after all of us left. So that was her version of dealing with the empty nest syndrome. And for years, we would have, and people, I think when you have your own mother and father, whether you're in one house, you resent somebody calling your father dad, and who are you and how dare you come? But they had that much love for another people, but we never liked it. But we learned to adapt. I said, "Mom, you grown. You said when we got grown, you're going to travel," and she did travel. But I think I think for my mother, I think when people become parents at a young age, their whole life have been a parent. They have never known what it like to be single. And when my father died, 39 grandchildren. By the time I got ready to have a baby, nobody wanted my egg. They said, "No, we are good. We enough children here." But it's a dynamic. I think, I think you think about that when you have family reunion, you're glad you have a big family. Mm-hmm. But no, we were like, "No, y'all ain't have no more children up in here. No, ma'am."
And Dr. Anthony, the other thing that Ida mentioned that I found really interesting was, I remember when I was going to school, and of course, I was back in the Ice Ages. We all know that I'm old as all get out and everything. But they would literally have, if you were in rural North Carolina, your classroom would sometimes be empty because earlier I was talking about priming tobacco. So if you were one of those fortunate few that lived in the city limits or wasn't involved in the tobacco, you were going to school. So you might be one of about 5 people because everybody else was in the field. So there, and I know that you probably ran across that too, Ida. That you said like there was a few people that were in the school before you got there because they probably had you out in the field. And then when you got there were those few that had been in class for maybe a week or two because y'all had finished the priming of the tobacco.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that field thing or whatever. That is not something that Dr. Anthony will be doing or would have done. I was just regular going to school, and that's it. and just enjoying the the siblings and stuff like that. Because I have 2 older brothers. They used to beat me up all the time. That's why I grew up so tough and rough. They made me tough, and I don't know. I'm not a bully, but I can't handle my own. I if you start something with me, I will finish it. So I tell people all the time, don't start, don't pick, because once you
Speaking of tough and rough, there was a woman that was tough and rough, and she was actually saying, look, I am who I am. I'm authentically me. I've got a bunch of my own NIL deals. And why y'all want to pick on me? Because I decided to taunt somebody at the end of my championship run and all in that space. So Angel Reese, I'm go like, what's up?
What's it? Is this what she did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that was I was like, oh my God. But
so first of all,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. First of all, let's clear up this narrative that this is the John Cena. This is not the John Cena. This is Tony Yayo. So let's get it right. It's Tony Yayo. John Cena copied, like they always do, Tony Yayo. You can't see me, so he copied Tony Yayo, and he actually on a talk show gave credit to Tony Yayo. So she did the Tony Yayo and pointed to her ring finger, and she was basically saying that whenever we do it is a problem, but when they do it, it's okay. So the counterpart that she's talking about Caitlin Clark, who is the basketball player for Iowa. And so she was taunting the people from South Carolina, taunting other squads, throwing them off, waving them off. Oh, you're not even good enough for me to even come out and hold you to contest your shot. She doing all this, in their face and in their grill. And so LSU basically told them, don't come over here with the foolishness, because you're not going to do it to us. And so they had already put that out there before the final game. And so when she was, pointing to her ring finger and doing it back and, walking around her and stuff, the little white people got mad. Of course, they always get mad. And everybody's like, oh, it's not a race thing. It's always about race. It is a race thing. And I'm big on this. It is always about race. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can copy us. They can do all that stuff, and nothing is said. It is applauded. It's appreciated. And I talk about this all the time on the show. How other people and other coaches, especially other women, get to mimic us, copy us, because we are the blueprint, of course. And nothing is said, nothing is done. But the second that we show some pushback, oh, it's a problem. Because the Kardashians copying the hairstyles, copying, the clothing from black designers and things like that, when they had the Bantu knots, we discovered Bantu. Girl, we been wearing Bantu knots. We been wearing braids, you know what I'm saying? So it's always, it is always about race, and it's always about trying to humble the Black woman. And so she stood her ground, and she's like, no, you're not going to silence me. This is much bigger than me. This is for the little girls who look like me, from the neighborhood that I come from, Baltimore. I come from Baltimore City. This is for those little girls. It's for who you are. You are unapologetically you. And she stood her ground, and she's like, she doesn't have a problem with speaking her piece. And I appreciate that about her. She did not allow them to silence her. She did not allow them to shut her down. She did not allow them to push her in a box to, back down and things like that or whatever. So at the end of the day, Bayou Barbie, we got your back. And guess what? I know I have your back, because I'm definitely from Louisiana. I definitely support the LSU sports system. I mean, because if people don't know, all the colleges in Louisiana are under the umbrella of the Louisiana State University. So every college is under that umbrella. So regardless of what college you went to, you're still under the umbrella of the Louisiana State University. So yeah, I'm repping my LSU shirt today in support of Angel Reese and the LSU.
Me see, stand up.
Team. But it just goes to show you how they try to create these double standards for white women. Oh, it's okay if they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. And it's always like that. And it's always, because they're like, oh, it's not race. No, it's always about race. And then Dr. Jill Biden, I was a fan of hers up until that point. I think Iowa should come to, it's about sportsmanship. No, you need to learn before you speak. It ain't about no sportsmanship. Iowa lost. She got her ass handed to her on a silver platter. So she needs to take her little ass back to Iowa and just sit over there and reminisce about, the mistakes that she made and what her team could have done better to pull that victory off. So you don't just, up and say, I'm going to invite the losing team. So you're taking a shot away from those black girls, because quite naturally, if those black girls, which LSU is predominantly black, would have lost, would you have invited them to the White House and said, oh, it's about sportsmanship? We already know you wouldn't have. So you were just trying to compensate for the white girl, and because she lost and you thought that she was going to win, but Angel Reese put you in your place, as she should have.
And speaking of people being put in their place and all in that space, I do have that reel from the lovely Angel Reese, and you pretty much summarize it, but it's only about 40 seconds. So let's check out what Angel Reese had to say herself.
Well, I'm happy. I mean, all year I was critiqued about who I was. Nobody. The narrative. I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me, that's going to speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. And that's what I did it for tonight. This was for it was just bigger than me tonight. It was bigger than me. Twitter is going to go in a rage every time. And I mean, I'm happy. I feel like I've helped grow women's basketball this year. I'm super happy and excited. So I'm looking forward to celebrating in the next season.
Good for her.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm glad she stood her ground.
And the young lady, which I think you said her name was Caitlin. I'm not a sports person, but they explained that's how these games work. And when adults get into these college and high school games and try to input, I do like how Shannon Sharp and some of the commentary taters, they said this is what they do. And the young lady even said, why would you invite me to the White House? She even said, no, they're the champs. Why would I go? And so I like it when the young people are more adults than the grown-ups. They understand. Are they Gen X, Y, Z? I can't remember which gen they are. But, they get it. What it did, it brought, once again, a highlight to the double standards of black and white. And that young lady ended up getting so many endorsements. I think we have almost she's getting ready to be a multi-millionaire based on that. So I like it when black people, we do support each other, because, we're the first to go down. So when we, like I said, I don't even follow basketball. And it's another young lady that looks like her that won a champion, Dee. They said how people get those two people confused. And the other young lady, I think it was 3 of them. One of them was on America Got Talent, and she's a rapper. And Lil Wayne is going to have her on his next album. So I love it when we could.
Flau'jae Johnson.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce that name. I wanted to, my spirit, my shana.
But the other thing that people forget, and I know that Dr. Anthony's show isn't necessarily a sports show, but it is my understanding that one of the things that the young people have been doing very successfully is making money off of what are called NIL deals, which is
that's what they was calling. She makes $300.
And I want to say that Angel is like number 4 in the list, so she's already made more money than he even said that she might make as a WNBA player, as a college student, with these NIL deals, because she's already struck up some major deals already, even before winning the championship. So with the championship, she might go up even further, but she was already at like either number 4 or number 5 in terms of the amount of money made in that space.
Well, that was before the championship. She's
that's
about
what I'm saying, before the championship, right.
900,000 now.
But
after
now they said she's the number 1 for both. And her cousin, actually, she's cousin with the guy that won UConn. Their cousin, correct. She has a cousin that, so I love the family affair, the whole issue with it. And like I said, I always tell people this is always the year of the black woman. But one black woman who was catching a lot of shade, the cousin Monique. She sued Netflix to get, she said they was doing her wrong. And it was she didn't appreciate how it went down. So everybody last weekend, her show, her comedy show came out. And it's a 2 out of 5. It's a 2 out of 10 for most people. And once again, coming back to the black woman, I know you get ready to attack, because she's saying to attack, I can see the head nodding right now. And so, yeah. And so when people, I something always for the comedians. And some people, I get probably halfway through, and I like Monique. I used to do but it's just so much profanity, so much just, and so she sort of kept dragging some of the same people she dragged, Oprah, Tyler, Steve, and then I think she talked about she being bisexual. So at some point it felt like a talk show instead of a comedy show. And, and so Dr. A, I think, the thing about us Black people, sometimes we don't give her permission to say, I don't like a person. I didn't enjoy the show. So then they try to make, oh, y'all hating on Monique. Well, to something, Monique had put herself in a place where she sued Netflix and said, I'm just as good as these were. And that, I don't even want to say her name too much because I don't want her to come for me. But at most, it didn't cut the mustard. So where you go?
Well, I don't care if we say her name or not. She can come.
Where did you watch it?
Okay. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch it. I think like after, when did I stop supporting and watching Monique? I think after, she did the comedy special. I mean, not the comedy special, hosting BET when she did the Beyonce and, stuff like that or whatever. I was really into Monique and things like that. But when she started getting outlandish and, all
the
crazy,
bonnet.
And she talked about the bonnet. I didn't support her on that. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is, regardless of, people wear bonnets or not or whatever, who are you to tell somebody what they can and cannot wear in public? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's closed door conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your keeper, you're not mine. But at the end of the day, I think I stopped supporting her around that time or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really look at anything that involves her or, that she's doing or anything like that or whatever. So no, I would not be.
Dr. Anthony, question for you, because you mentioned it, and it is part of the narrative of whether we support our own or don't support our own and all along those lines. But there are two power brokers, and one of them Ida just mentioned, that are looking at making BET Black owned once again.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a bidding war with each other. So
right.
What are our thoughts about Byron Allen and
Tyler
going after BET, and will that make it Black owned again, and will it have more Black programming? I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were actually afraid that we're going to see nothing but a bunch of Madea movies if Tyler gets it and everything, and we see any of his other movies. They'll be at the late night.
I mean, my thing is either you like Madea or you don't. But the one thing I can say about Tyler is he gives Black actors an opportunity. So I would love to see him have BET versus Byron Allen, because Byron Allen actually owns a lot of TV stations that people really don't understand. He owns the Weather Channel. He owns a lot of TV stations, but you don't see him purporting, Black shows and things like that. So I think in the latter with Tyler Perry, I think we will get more shows along the line with Black actors and actresses, and I think he will be better for the community than the previous one. Whether you like Madea or not, Madea brought him the notoriety that he has, and he has given back, and he always supports his Black, like I said, he always supports his Black actors and actresses, and he gives them jobs, and he gives the actresses who are not very well known, he gives them opportunities, and he puts them in position of power, and he puts them in positions of, positivity to do what he needs them to do. So I am definitely Team Tyler.
I hear you.
I personally would like it to be a partnership. I think a little of both. I'm tired of Tyler putting these brothers in these bad wigs. I love Tyler Perry. But I think, I think sometimes when I thought you was going to go down, I think it put me in mind of Black Wall Street. We do need to own things. We do need to have a seat at the table. As a matter of fact, we need to bring our own table and our own opportunities to bring. And is Tyler Perry the ideal person? Oprah done it with best. Own TV, own network. And so I think the thing I love about Tyler and I dislike about, we need to go back to that we are very prominent in every industry, that we don't have to depend on people. And I think it's all of them. I know a lot about Byron Allen but I would love if they could partner to, which I know that wouldn't be realistic. But I think Byron's just a businessman, because at the end of the day, this is still about bringing business, and
It is.
and whoever takes it over is going to have to woo the Black community back. Because, when you think of BET, you used to think of BET, you think 106 in Park, you used to think of Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine. And you remember
Bobby
when
Jones
people named,
Gospel.
you remember people used to name their children Ebony and S, and you could tell a person's age based on their Black name.
Mhm.
And so we do need that back. And I think from a longevity, I think Tyler, the Black community would accept it better being Tyler, because we trust him. We have a relationship. We know his give back is so strong. He's going to let us participate. But Tyler, you got to leave the bad wigs alone, boo. Those bad wigs. I didn't think you could make Shamar Moore look ugly, but I love my boo. I love Tyler, but those bad wigs got to go. I'm sorry.
I mean, I understand that, but like I said, at the end of the day, we have to look at how he has supported the community, what he has done for the Atlanta community, and what he has brought to that table. Because he's originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. He could have picked anywhere in the world that he wanted to live. He chose Atlanta, and he supports that community. He does things for that community. And I mean, I'm not saying Byron doesn't, but I mean, I don't know of any things that Byron has done. And speaking from the standpoint of, supporting the Black community and giving opportunities, I feel that Tyler would be better at that than Byron would, because he had, like you said, he has the relationship. He has shown, he has proven that he's going to do those things. So yes, it probably will be accepted better from Tyler than it would, from Byron. So like I said, I'm team Tyler. He's a fellow Louisianian, so I'm going to always support home team first before I, step out on the grid and go, elsewhere.
But also, go ahead.
No, like you said, that makes a lot of sense and everything. But I do sometimes wonder if our athletes are doing enough to support their various communities. And yeah, I know Tyler's doing a lot, but we just had a major athlete pull out of a major event this weekend. Yeah, I'm going back down the sports lane, but yeah, Tiger's got all kinds of issues. He can't seem to know how to drive his cars because every time he turns around, he's on another accident or something along those lines. So he did pull out, and part of that is because of the injuries from the latest car accident and all in that space. But whether it's Tiger or whether it's Michael Jordan, or where there's a number of other athletes, there are a number of them that have made millions, if not billions. Well, definitely millions.
Well, he said he wasn't Black anyway, so I don't support him. So whatever he's going through, good, get it 2 times worse. You know what I'm saying? So when they said with the little white woman trying to sue him for $30, sue him for $30 million, sue him for 60. I really don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't claim the Black community. You just can't turn it on and off when you want to be when you want to be Black and when you don't want to be Black. What did he say he was? He was Sublasian. He wasn't Black. You know what I'm saying? So go on over there and be Black, not be Black. Keep that same energy. So guess what? This Black woman is not supporting your ass.
Well, the thing what I like about the Tiger Woods of the world, at least they're open with. Sometimes Blacks can give the perception that they're supporting people, then when behind closed door they're making other deals with other people. So I always like to see. I don't even call him my enemy. But understand, in the white community, in the record book, he is going to be recorded as a Black golfer. So he understands.
Oh, I get it.
No, but understand. But you got to understand, he had a Black father and a Filipino Asian mother, and you got to realize a lot of who we are. When you look at the Serena Williams and you look at athletes, and the speaker Michael Jordan, his house was broken in last week by an 18-year-old young man, and the first thing said, Michael Jordan's house got broken into. How? What type of security? Maybe he got the ring. I don't know. It broke it. And a young boy, and I think he said he was going there to steal some Jordans. And ironically, Michael Jordan said he didn't want him to get like a big charge. I think they said they charged him with trespass. But I think people, when they get to a certain, LeBron's had played the game well. I am my brother's keeper. Tyler Perry had played it well. Russell Wilson. And I think sometimes, I don't know if I would want to be typecast in that I'm my brother's keeper for the Black community. Because depending on sometimes what industry, entertainment or different stuff, sometimes the Black community can throw shade at each other.
Well, I saw some shade thrown in Clubhouse recently because I was in one of those rooms. I think it was predominantly a reparation room, but it could have been some other conversations going on as well. But part of the conversation was whether some of our brothers and sisters are not claiming too much of their Indian roots. And I know that everybody here has some native roots and all of that, but they were wondering if some people are using it as a ploy and maybe not using it correctly and all in that space. But I was wondering you two ladies' thoughts on that, because it was a quite interesting room. There were some people that were like, wait a minute, you don't have the quote unquote right percentages. You haven't gone through the right government channels to be named a member of this tribe or that tribe. And they even tied it into the Trail of Tears and a number of other things. But like I said, it was an interesting conversation, but I was just wondering y'all's thoughts, because there are some people that are proud of their native part of their African American heritage, and there are some others that aren't as proud. And we've even seen how that can even play some role in the way that the Latin American community treats us, because some of them identify more with their indigenous side than their Black side. But that was another thing that I saw on Instagram, which is a post that showed that there are 10 major countries, including France, including Mexico, yes, ironically Mexico, and including Haiti. Well, we know about Haiti, but a number of them that you would not expect that have a large African American population in their communities.
Oh no, we're everywhere. But the thing about it is, the Native Americans, prior to the government stepping in and giving back reparations and things like that, the black Native Americans were accepted, heavily accepted. The second that they gave money, then they shut them out. When they put mechanisms in place so that the Black Native Americans could not be recognized and would not be able to receive that money. So I think a lot of the African Americans are not even, trying to go down that route, because you're met with so much pushback and things of that nature. Both of my grandmothers were Native American, and on my mom and my dad's side. So I mean, like you said, we do have some mixture in there, but I mean, is the fight even worth it? Because they are still trying to, basically shun the Blacks from receiving those reparations and receiving that money. People got to understand that the Native Americans also owned slaves. So their hands were just as dirty in slavery as Mexico and those other countries. They also owned enslaved people. So their hands are just equally as dirty. And, when slavery was abolished, a lot of these people did not, own up and admit to any of these things because they did not want to pay. Because my thing is, I wasn't over there when Hitler was throwing y'all asses in the goddamn incinerator. So why the hell should, we pay reparations to y'all? But y'all got reparations, but then y'all are, pushing back that, Black people don't need reparations. Yeah, give me mine. Run me my money. Give me my reparations. When the Asians came over here, when they bombed Hiroshima, or if you want to call it Hiroshima, when they bombed Hiroshima, they received reparations. Black Americans didn't have anything to do with that. That was the American government. So why should my Black dollars go over to support you? You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot deeper than just claiming to be Native American and just claiming to have those ancestral connections and things like that or whatever, because they purposely omitted Black Native Americans so that they would not receive the benefits from the government. So when they was over there talking about, they're on the reservations and they doing this and they doing that, we need to support. Hell no, I'm not supporting nothing, because when my ancestors was similarly on those reservations, you denied them. So guess what? I don't want my Black dollars helping you either.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of people getting support, I know that the other thing that was very much in the news was those lovely things going on with shootings. And apparently there was that Christian shooting that went on in Nashville, and the two brothers argued about the way that whole thing was treated, and they went to their state legislators and they made a successful protest and all in that space, and then they got ousted. I understand that they might be getting reinstated, at least one of them, if not both of them, but they did make that protest. And ironically, the two brothers got ousted. The one white woman, she managed to skate by on 2 votes or something along those lines, but she got off and all in that space. But I just wondered your thoughts about this, because this apparently involved just about everything that's being talked about in society, from Christian education to the rights of the trans community, because I think the shooter was a member of the trans group, and all of that, to now this whole notion of what is allowed with protest.
I mean, but it just goes back to, again, it's a black and white issue. Everything, people don't want to say it's about race, but it's always about race. When the young brother, Justin Pearson, walked in with his dashiki on, they had a problem with it. They said it was inappropriate. It wasn't professional. But who are you to say that our clothing is not professional? But that's what they do. they had a law passed with, saying that Black people can wear their natural hair, braids, and dreadlocks, and all that stuff or whatever, because the white people felt some type of way, and they didn't think that it was professional. So in terms of their standards, it wasn't professional. So they feel like that they violated whatever decorum that that was put in place. And so basically, to me, what it was, nigga, you need to get your ass back in place because you too damn uppity, and you need to learn your place. So that was a power move on their part, and that's basically what they were saying. Ida.
Well, I need to just start bringing my invisible pearls to some of the. I have some real pearls. I'm going to start clutching them. I hate my poor shirt says just do nothing. But some said no, Ida, you can't let her just do what she wants to do, even though it's her show. Okay, she said.
But come on now, basically, but read between the lines. Read between the lines. Let's just be realistic about it. You know what I'm saying? Because just a few weeks before all of this has taken place, the white congressman, whatever they call him over there, he brought to a resolution to the floor that he wanted the death penalty amended, and he wanted to hang motherfuckers from trees. Then he got so much pushback on the statement that he want to hang people from trees that he had to come back and recant. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you wasn't sorry. You just sorry that you got caught, and you sorry that the people gave you pushback on saying that you wanted to hang people from trees. So let's call a spade a spade. That's exactly what it is. They wanted to put those young Black brothers in place. You know what I'm saying? And so what they did was they wanted to silence them, but what they failed to realize is you gave them a bigger platform. You open the floodgates. You turn on the information to national TV, to national publicity. So it was isolated within Tennessee, but now it's widespread. But that's basically what you were saying, nigga, be quiet, and you need to understand your place. That's basically what they were saying without saying it. But he want to say.
Speaking of people keeping their place, there's a brother that is going after a major person, and some folks are saying that he is stepping out of his bounds. I don't think he's stepping outside of his bounds. I think he's got a fairly good case, and he probably could even win the case since he's got 34 indictments and all in that space. But what are folks' thoughts about this lovely notion of the brother from New York going after Trump? Because apparently that's become a race conversation as well, because it is definitely a brother DA that is going after Trump, and definitely brought him to New York all the way from Florida, where I think he was residing. Now he's gone back to Florida after facing the music, and now he'll have to face the music in a court of law whenever they get to that particular case. But we got Trump being indicted, and maybe he'll be the first. Well, he won't be the first, because there've been other presidents that have been indicted, and we've definitely had some criminals in office. But definitely, what is your thoughts about this notion and all in that space of Trump still running, saying he's still going to run, and he's definitely involved in this whole scandal of a notion of being arrested?
So before we go to Trump, let's go back to Tennessee real quick.
So she's gonna go on a rant when you
because
Trump is going to take 5 minutes. Oh my God! Okay.
So one of the lawmakers in Tennessee was so egregious against the referee because he didn't like the way the referee was calling the game. So he went on the court and pulled this man's pants down. But nobody said anything about that. Nobody charged him with assault. Nobody did anything. But because the brothers are stepping up, wearing dashikis and speaking, not speaking the language that they want to hear, and not, basically selling their constituents out. Oh, it's a problem. But no one is holding him accountable. No one is holding the other people accountable that has done egregious things. So my thing is, like I said, call a spade a spade. So if you want to say about decorum, your decorum wasn't right when you ran out on that court and you pulled that referee pants down. So now we can go into Trump.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ida.
I'm just going to look out the window.
What's your
Well, I always take it from a marketing point of view. It's no news. I think what people want to do, everybody wants to be Trump. Trump have, or everybody wants to. Now, understand there's no news such as bad news. And you got people that are vying. So they do these outlandish things, whether the mic is on or not. But you got to realize, it's only enough room for one Goliath, which is Trump, and do these ridiculous things. Now, understand, he got these followers that are saying, okay, I can find Tennessee, I can find some way for me. So Trump, once again, it comes back to this January 6th and getting elected. Trump is telling the white man, don't ever be quiet. Don't contain those thoughts. And you remember how D.L. Hughley said it best, the worst place a black man could be is in a white man's mind. And so I like, so do I think some of these people are racist? Most definitely. Do I think they're playing the race card to their advantage? And they want that media attention because these are not naive. Yes, they might be from the backward, but these people, it's some intentionality behind it. And then that does require the black community, the brown community. We need to bring the same vigor to the table as we manipulate, because you got to realize the media is manipulating some of this. They're picking and choosing what make it to the shade room, what make it to Fox News, what makes it to CNN. And I think if I get into the Democrats to the Republicans, the Democrats are always going to take the gentleman route. And the gloves are off. You're in an arena where we have to fight for the American people. Black, brown, all that. And I think that sometimes the Republican now have found such a wonderful niche. They said, I want to say something. I want to say lynch the black person. And all of a sudden, my social media follow went up 1 million. Like we'll look at the young lady from LSU. When that young lady, I didn't even know who the young lady was. She said she woke up and she had 4 million followers the next day. So it is something into going viral, being offensive, being ridiculous. And I think as Blacks, sometimes we still are paralyzed. We want to either take the MLK route, the church route, and I think we don't know how to play off of that. We do have to play off it with our money. We do have to play off it with voting. But sometimes when I come on here with Dr. A, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to do it. Can you do it? Can you do it?
You can handle it. And speaking of handling it, there was another assist from one of the Carolinas, and I know that we sometimes tease that other Carolina, but I loved her attitude. And yes, I'm going to use the sports lane as well, because she said something that you just said, which is that too often we think, or people think, that they're not being heard, and they probably are being heard, because what you say you think you're saying it in private, it will come back, because there are people that are on various camps, including some of our camps, that are actually listening. So if it's all right with you, Dr. Anthony, I want to play a clip from Dawn Staley, and let's hear what Dawn Staley had to say about what was going on in this sense. So
don't mess with her. We have
other coaches, your colleagues, have sitting in that spot and talked about you all being bullies. What's the truth about your team?
The truth about our team, okay? It's a good question, okay? We're not bar fighters. We're not thugs. We're not monkeys. We're not street fighters. This team exemplifies how you need to approach basketball on the court and off the court. And I do think that that's sometimes brought into the game, and it hurts. Okay. And I do think that some of I'm gonna say it because I said I was gonna say it, whether we lost or whether we won. Some of the people in the media, when you're gathering in public, you're saying things about our team, and you're being heard, and it's being brought back to me. Okay? And these are the people that write nationally for our sport. So you can not like our team, okay? You can not like me, but when you say things that you probably should be saying in your home, on the phone, or texting out in public, and you're being heard, and you are a national writer for our sport, it just confirms what we already know. So watch what you say when you're in public and you're talking about my team in particular. Just watch what you say about our team, because it's wrong. You got young lives who are really, if you really knew them, like you really want to know other players that represent this game, you would think differently. So don't judge us by the color of our skin, okay? Judge us by how we approach the game. And you may not like how we play the game, may not like it. That's the way we play. That's the way I coach. I'm not changing. We found success in it. And maybe some days, like today, we end up on the losing side of the stick. But guess what? We live to see another day. We live to see the comeback next year and try to do this again. Because I'm not changing. I'm not changing. But I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Because I do have friends in the media, whether you believe it or not. I do have some friends in the media. So for those of you who were at whatever event you were at that was nearby this arena yesterday, you were heard. You were overheard talking about our team. So,
Coach, we're going to take.
Okay.
So again, it just goes to show you how they try to vilify Black women in anything that we do. Basketball is an aggressive sport. So if you're not out there bringing it and you're not out there doing your thing, you're not out there playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, then sit your ass down, sit on the bench, go to the back seat. I was an athlete. I played basketball. I played street ball. I did all those things, and I hoop with dudes. And so in order to improve your game, that's what you have to do. You're going to be out there. You're going to be talking smack. You're going to be doing all those things. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't take away from who the person is as a person. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to vilify Black women and Black players, and not say anything about the little white players on the other side, because she was over there talking smack, doing the Tony Yayo, doing all those things, and nothing negative or egregious was said about her or their team. And they tried. And for example, they tried to make a video doing the High School Musical song, whereas LSU was, we're gonna set this bitch off. They was doing Boosie, whatever. So it's a tale of two cultures. You over here, playing High School Musical, and we over here really getting crunk about to bring that drama to that ass like we did. And the world just erupted and had a problem with it.
Yep,
so it just goes to show. Tale of two cultures.
Yeah, tale of two cultures for sure. Speaking of tale of two cultures and everything, the other thing that I had mentioned to you, Dr. Anthony, and I'd love to hear Ida's thoughts about this, is that here in North Carolina, there was a Republican lawmaker that recently decided to switch over and become a Republican. So she said it was because of the bullying she was getting from her Democratic fellow politicians at the time, and she might have had some other things, but I personally think it might have been a case of wolf in sheep's clothing. We do know that there used to be historically a group called the Boll Weevil Democrats that were very much Republican oriented, and she might have had some of those same kind of values, so she just went ahead and claimed the values that she was already claiming in the first place. But yeah, they definitely became a case of they're now having a supermajority, I think, in the legislatures here in North Carolina because of her switching over and everything. But it did become some major conversation. I was actually watching on a news clip earlier today where one of her supporters, who had actually played ball as well, because I think she used to be a coach, also was saying that this particular woman had some values that were similar to her values, and she was a fellow Democrat, and now she's going to have to reevaluate her support for this particular individual. So I was just wondering your thoughts, because we've seen a couple of these folks do that, even on the national lane, where people have either dropped off of one party or another. Because I think there were a couple. I think Sinema recently came out as a independent when she had been a Democrat, and there were some other ones as well. And now there's even talk of Howard of Manchin running as a third party candidate. But I just wanted your thoughts. Is that maybe this is just a case of them coming out as to what they already were?
You want to go? You want me to go?
You can go first.
Thank you, young lady. I think people want to win. If when you think about, I had my CPA, he said, "I don't pay for you're a Republican. I don't know why you fight so hard for these churches and give your donation to people that they're not winning, because really behind closed doors, people want to win." And when you get into the narrative of saying, "Okay, where will I be in 2025?" Do I need to be so? See, one day Dr. Anthony is going to go viral because she reminded me of that sister back in the 90s. She had that dashiki and she was very strong, very vocal. You know who I'm talking about, Dr. such and such. I wish I could her name. And and she talked about the power of the woman vagina and said she was very outlandish. We will never be forgotten. And so you got to realize people don't want to be forgotten. And now people realize that they can be heard and they don't have to suppress their thought. See, years ago, backlash was really real. But backlash builds followers. It builds visibility. It makes people come to your page. But at the end of the day, most of the average person, other than a politician, can't stand the heat. That's why they don't get in the fire. Because like you said, it's about winning. People think Trump is going to run the Republican. So you got people doing something in 2023 that's going to marry up, going to render a fruit in 2025. So you see people are coming apart. He said that, I don't follow politics that much, but you got the Democrats, the Republican, the third and the liberal. And so they have decided that the Republicans are going to take back over. So whatever bid you're going to do, racism is profitable. It's profitable to be racist. It's not popular to be Black unless you have money. So people are like, what is that Candace Owens? She had found a niche and she's riding that out because that niche goes into her bank account. Are you mad at people that they're doing this? I always say, I'm not concerned about the Candace Owens. I'm concerned about the person that's having private dialogue. They're throwing their American dollars behind these organizations and we're not aware of it, but they really think like that. Our colleagues, our next door neighbors. So I love it when people just show their bottom and stuff. And these people aren't switching. This has been their views the whole time. But now they're just like, I've been trying to understand TikTok or social media so I could gain following. And, I had someone, they said, well, Ida, ditch the spiritual stuff. Ain't nothing in it unless you're going to be really crazy and go really left with. This is where the trend is. This is where it's profitable. And then you got to do like Michael Jackson and look at the man in the mirror and say, is that me? Can I live that out when nobody is watching? So I hand over to you, baby girl. And then we do got to talk about the Dalai Lama, but talk about your cousin first. Talk about your favorite person.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, the thing about her switching, she was a Republican the whole time. She just used a Democratic nomination to, get in office and to get her feet wet and to get where she wanted to be. So, when they flip-flopping and switching back and forth, this is what you wanted to do the whole time. And you found a niche, like you said, to, get yourself in office and, you're trying to blame bullying and harassment. If it was bullying and harassment the first two times that you were elected as a Democrat, you would have said it then. So quite naturally, you're telling tall tales and fabricating some things to justify you going over to the Republican Party, which you were already Republican anyway. So it's no surprise there. But in terms of the black man that's prosecuting Trump, he should go after him. Nobody. And the thing about it is, Trump thinks that he is above the law, and these white people are trying to make it, where it's lawless. And he shouldn't be held accountable. No, he should be held accountable, and he should, receive whatever punishment that he's going to receive to the full extent of the law, because this is much bigger than Donald Trump. This is about democracy. This is about, the law of the land. This is about everything that this country is built on and what this country stands for. And so if you let this white man come in and do what he has done, and there are no repercussions and no consequences, guess what? It's going to continue to happen. Just like, when they was saying that they were going to New York and, they were going to do X, Y, Z, and the New Yorkers stood up because they ran Marjorie Greene ass up out of there. And they said, it's not going down over here. You're not bringing that foolishness over here. We're about this, we're about that, and this is what's going to take place. So no, he is in what he is doing. And the thing about it is, there's a difference between, Tennessee and New York. Donald Trump actually broke these laws. The brothers, they were just speaking their piece and trying to, rally for their constituents. So there's a major difference. But the white folks over there was trying to silence them and tell them, niggas, you too uppity. Because, back in the day when black people, they thought black people were uppity, that's the term that they use, uppity. And they tried to silence them and put them in their place. So that's what that was doing over there. But in terms of New York, no, those 34 counts need to be stuck to his ass, and he needs to be prosecuted, and he needs to go and face the music, because he was advised not to take documents from the White House. He was advised on all of this stuff. He was advised on all of that stuff, and he purposely did things thinking that he was going to be protected and the Republicans were going to protect him to keep him safe from whatever he's trying to hide. And we already know that he's trying to hide, and all the stuff that he was trying to say about Hillary Clinton was actually factual and true about himself. So yes, he needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Well, they got a new distraction going on now, because now they're talking about this leak that's going on from the Intelligence Committee and all in that space, because that just came out recently. They're worrying about these leaks and everything in the international aspect of what's going on. And I know a lot of people are paying attention to the last thing that we'll talk about, because it was on Anthony's mind, which is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So what are they doing these days, and what have they got going on in their world?
Well, I mean, as far as the leaks are concerned, I don't believe there are no leaks. It's purposely done. So when they want things out there, they put it out there. It's about strategy, and it's about precision, and it's about chess. So we know that something is about to happen and something is about to come forth or whatever, because I want to talk about Meghan Markle, but we may have to push this back to another show. A couple of days ago, the guy from Cash App was murdered in San Francisco. 2 other big tech giants were murdered as well. So when we look at the American government, we look at things like that, because historically speaking, we have always known that the American government has played part in certain figures being killed and certain people being killed when they want the intelligence rights to their products, their companies, to whatever. And I was just talking about this the other day with a friend of mine, and I was giving him the example of Nikola Tesla. Tesla brought he was a great scientist. He brought electricity. He wanted people to have free electricity. The government said, no, we're charging. And so, he was running for his life, and he was killed in a hotel in New York or whatever. So we have to, take all those things into play. And now the American government is saying that they want to basically have a company set up just like Cash App. So it's real coincidental that all of these tech giants that are owning these companies are, falling dead and dropping like flies. So we have to, keep all of that into, consideration and things like that. So I don't think it was a leak. I think it was purposely planted.
You're proud of yourself. I am too.
Yeah, well, we almost done with another edition. We almost got to a whole hour and everything. So any final thoughts you got, Ida? Or
well, I want to talk about the Dalai Lama wanting to tongue kiss a little boy. The little boy came up. It's a video out, and the little boy came up to the most spiritual, is that Buddha or Hindu religious figure of his time, and asked the Dalai Lama for a hug. And Dalai Lama said, "Come over here, let me kiss you, and you suck my tongue." I'm pretty sure the Dalai Lama is going to be retired. So the video has been, and then they said, well, that's how he played. Nick, that's a pedophile.
That's a pedophile.
And they leaked it. See, the only time things are true when you have the video. And so could you imagine your mama said, go over there and see the pastor, and the pastor said, tongue kiss me. Come on, suck my tongue. Okay, no, we get ready to find out Dalai Lama got.
The Dalai Lama said that the exact quote was, he told the child to suck that tongue. So that definitely sounds like it's got some serious connotations with language like that and everything.
With the people, it makes you just want to go and look into other. And now people are saying that's not the only time he's said very child predatorial statements. And this man is 80 or older than Methuselah, Moses. And it's scary. This is a world leader, a global leader. I don't know whether he won all the and then to try to do. Could you imagine being his PR person trying to do damage control? Said, that's how he play when the cameras are not running. Nigga, he is a pedophile.
No, you don't play like that. No, he's a pedophile.
But he said what he said. He said what he
did say what he said.
He looked at that young boy Juicy, and he couldn't resist whatever was there came out.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I mean, if we're going to look at it holistically, the church has harbored pedophiles and has pretty much supported pedophilia. I mean, if you look at the Catholic Church, a lot of those priests were, exiled and things like that. And there's they did a show on Catholicism and Catholic Church, and being nuns, and how the priests would sleep with the nuns, and they was pregnant, and they were burying the babies inside of the church. So it's been going on. So now we're, like you said, we're getting videos. Light is being shed upon the pedophilia rink that's inside of the the spirituality of it, inside of those churches.
Anthony, didn't you have a major case in Maryland? Because I think there was a major case in Maryland of a bunch of Catholics or something that was just recently having some major incidences. I think that was the last week that I heard that. So it wasn't just over there in Pat. I think there was something in Maryland.
Yeah, so they're calling them, they're touching the altar boys. I mean, because they had a case where this young man, he was an adult, and he couldn't basically function right because he was molested as a child, and that was traumatic for him. And so he, told, and then other young men started, coming out telling their stories. And I mean, a good place to start is Law and Order. I know Law and Order is based off of fictional things, but Law and Order also hits upon, true topics. And when they were talking about, the things that happen inside of the Catholic Church, those things actually took place. So
but you had Bishop Eddie Long taking down the whole state of Georgia, grooming these young men, and the church was very aware. They paid those young men hush money and have traumatized. So from any spiritual culture, especially in the Bible, you would have spiritual beings telling them not to have sex and making these children asexual. So what he have done is always been in the Catholics just get really dragged for it. The Black church is known for the incest and the pastor knocking up and marrying. So they all are filthy, dirty rags when it comes to children. They can't be trusted. But I'm glad it came out. But like I said, and they're trying to do some damage control. This you can't explain that away. Unless you
can't explain it away. And
that came out. I know we're going to wrap up the show and everything, but I did have a conversation with some friends of mine, and they were actually saying that the way that the church narrative goes is that you're only supposed to be involved in the relationships if you are part of a marital unit or some sort of permanent unit, and all in that sense. And they were trying to push back against premarital and other kinds of non-relationship type sexual relationships going on. And I know that there are different things that are said within the Bible, but I think that some people have a narrow-minded view of that. I don't know whether you two ladies agree, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, they do. I mean, we can touch upon it on the next show or whatever, because I know we're a little bit over. So I just want to, thank everybody for coming out, tuning into another great episode of the All Around. And we will continue with the great topics. Make sure you click, like, and share. Make sure you check out Ida Bullock at IdaLBullock.com and hit her up. She is a success coach. And we thank Mark, the producer, for always stepping in, giving us some insight. And we will see you guys on next Monday. Deuces, my loves.
Bye, everybody.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.